Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to talk about multiplying and dividing rational expressions. You're going to need your notes, a pen and or pencil, and a calculator, perhaps. All right, our objective for today is we will learn how to simplify radical expressions accurately. Now, a few things we need to know are rules, which we've gone over, but just to make sure when we're multiplying fractions, we multiply straight across. So for example, if we would have this fraction 1/4 times 1/5, we go straight across. 1 times 1 is 1. 4 times 5 is 20, and we would leave it at like this. Now when we divide fractions, we have to flip the second fraction, the reciprocal, and change it into multiplication. So remember, we're going to we keep our first one, we switch to multiplication, and then we flip our second one. Keep, switch, flip. And then now we just multiply like normal, straight across, so we're going to get 5/4. And we can leave things as improper fractions, that's just fine. But we do need to make sure that we always simplify our answers. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to do 4 examples for you. Please make sure that you get all 4 in your notes. Here comes example number 1. We need to multiply. So whenever we're doing this, we have to factor first. Very, very, very important. Have to factor first. So we're going to go through each one and see if it's factorable. This first one, I can take out a greatest common factor. I can take out 2x. So if I take out 2x out of both of these, I'm going to be left with x minus 5. Now the one underneath it here is a difference of squares. So they're perfect squares. 25 is a perfect square. We're using subtraction, so it's going to be x plus 5 and x minus 5. Now we're going to take that times. The top one I can't simplify, so I'll leave it as x plus 3. The bottom one I also can't simplify, so we'll leave it as 2x squared. Now once we get to this point, we're going to start canceling things. Now when I say canceling things, we can only cancel things that are exactly the same. Our factors have to be exactly the same on the top and bottom. So when we look at this, I have an x minus 5 on the top and on the bottom, so I can cancel those out. I have a 2 on the top and the bottom, so I can cancel those out. Now I have an x and an x squared. I can cancel one x out. So the top will go away. The bottom one will go from x squared to just x. Now we're going to write what we have left. I have an x plus 3, and on the bottom I have an x and an x plus 5. Now we can check here, x plus 3 and x plus 5 are different, so we are done here. This has now been simplified. Alright, moving on to example number 2. We're multiplying again. We need to go through and we need to factor each one of these first. Very, very important that we always factor first. So this one here, we're just going to take out a greatest common factor of 4x. So on the top, I'm going to be left with 4x, and I'll have x minus 1. Now, on the bottom here, there's 3 terms, so I have to do AC method. So I'm just going to do that right up here for us. I have to take A times C added up to B. So I have negative 3 has to add up to 2. The 2 factors of that are going to be 3 and negative 1. So I'll get x squared plus 3x minus 1x minus 3. Plug it into the box. X squared, 3x, negative 1x, negative 3. My greatest common factors here, negative 1, x, x, 3. So now on the bottom I can write x minus 1 and x plus 3 times, come over here, same thing with this one right here, 3 terms, so we're going to use AC method. So do A times C has to add up to B. Negative 6 has to add up to 1. So here I'm going to use 3 and negative 2. So I'll get x squared plus 3x minus 2x minus 6. Plug it into the box. I get x squared, 3x, negative 2x, negative 6. Greatest common factor, so we get negative 2, x, x, and 3. Put that over here. X minus 2, x plus 3. Now I have 4x on the bottom. I can't simplify that, so I'll leave it as is. So I'll put 4x here. Now we can start canceling things. Now when I cancel, ladies and gentlemen, all that matters is at the top and the bottom. So we could think about this as just being one big fraction altogether. We can only cancel things that are exactly the same. So here I have a 4. I can get rid of my 4. I have an x. I can get rid of my x. X minus 1. I have one on the bottom, so I can get rid of that. Then I have an x plus 3 and an x plus 3. Those are exactly the same, so I can cancel them out. Now on this one, the only thing I'm left with is x minus 2. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be my answer. All right, here comes example number 3. Now, when we look at this one, they're not both in fractions. So the first thing I'm going to do is turn this into a fraction. In order to do that, I'm just going to draw a line, put it all over 1. Now we can go back. We're going to factor everything. X plus 2 can't be factored, so we'll leave that as is. This one here on the bottom, though, we have another perfect square. For the perfect square, the difference. So we have difference of perfect squares, so I can do x plus 2, x minus 2. Go over to the other side. So we're going to multiply this. We're going to do that top one there. Now this top one, 3 factors, so we're going to use AC method. So on this one right here, AC method, A times C has to add up to B. So I have 9, it has to turn into a 6. Well, 3 times 3 is 9, 3 plus 3 is 6. So I have x squared plus 3x plus 3x plus 9. Plug that into the box. X squared, 3x, 3x, and 9. Greatest common factor now, we have 3x, x, and 3. So on the top here, I can put x plus 3 and x plus 3. And on the bottom, I'm going to keep my 1. Now we can go through and we can cancel. So I have an x plus 2 on the top and on the bottom that can cancel. Now my only terms left on the top are x plus 3. And my only term on the bottom is x minus 2. So now I'm done. But now, ladies and gentlemen, when I rewrite this, since these are exactly the same, I can rewrite this as x plus 3 squared. This means the exact same thing. There's 2 of them. I can write it either way. And on the bottom, I'm going to have x minus 2. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our answer. All right. Here's our last problem for the day. This is a division problem. So the first thing we have to remember is we have to keep, switch, flip. So when I do that, I'm going to keep. So I get 2x all over 3x minus 12. Switch from division to multiplication. And then I have to flip. So on the top of this one now, I'm going to get x squared minus 6x plus 8 all over x squared minus 2x. Very important that we do that first when we're dividing. Now we can go through and we can take our factoring, simplify it. So on the top, I'm just left with 2x. On the bottom, I can take out a greatest common factor of 3. So if I take 3 out of both of those, I'm left with 3. And then x minus 4 times, on the top here we have 3 terms, so we have to use AC method. So I'm going to do A times C has to add up to B. 8 to negative 6. Now 8 has to turn into a negative, so I have to use two negative numbers. I'm going to use negative 4, negative 2. So we'll get x squared minus 4x minus 2x plus 8. Remember, this needs to add up to whatever this term is in the middle. Now I can plug it into my box. I get x squared minus 4x minus 2x plus 8. Greatest common factor, negative 2x, x, negative 4. So over here on the top I can put x minus 4, x minus 2. On the bottom now for this one, all I can do is take out a greatest common factor. So I'm going to get x is out of each of those. So I'm left with x minus 2. Now we can go through, remember we're going to cancel these, they have to be the same. So 2/3 can't cancel, so I'm going to leave this. I have an x on the top and the bottom, so I can cancel those out. I have an x minus 4 on the top and the bottom, so those can go. And I have an x minus 2 on the top and the bottom, so those can go. Now all I'm left with this one is 2/3. So that's going to be my answer for this one. Make sure we can't simplify. We can't simplify that one, so we're all good. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is all I have for you today. I hope you have a fabulous day, and I will be seeing you later. Bye.